Hello and welcome to the In My Defense podcast. It is I, your host, Christian, and happy October, folks. We've been doing this for almost 2 months now. That's crazy to me. You guys have no idea how long I've been wanting to do something like this, and the fact that I am 9 episodes in truly shocks me. I am here because of all the haters out there, all you who said I couldn't do it. I proved you wrong. That's a lie. No one said I couldn't do this. Everyone was totally behind me 100%. In fact, there's more reasons why I shouldn't be doing a podcast than there are reasons why I should be. But let's not talk about that at the moment. Hi, guys. We are here to bring on another terrific guest and give them a chance to geek out on a subject of their choice. Before I tell you about my guest, let me share a fun fact. I should have thought about this ahead of time. I'm going to come up... Okay, here's one. The line about Superman from Aunt May in the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie boggles my mind every single week. I have major problems with that one line of dialogue. And if anybody ever wants to talk about it, please let me know. InMyDefensePodcast@gmail.com. But anyways, this week on the show, we have Stephanie Ray. If you haven't heard of Stephanie Ray, I'm sure you will one day. Stephanie is a fantastic improviser. She is involved with the Black Improv Alliance. She's been doing so much great work into introducing new improvisers into the community, and she really brung it this episode, folks. She is someone that you definitely want to listen to, and I'm not going to waste too much more of your time. Let's get right into the show. So I am here with one of my friends, Stephanie Ray. Say hi to everybody, Stephanie.
Hi, everybody.
And Stephanie is here so that we can talk about improv. Now, why'd you want to talk about improv?
I love it. I spend an absurd amount of my time focused on it, and I'm really passionate about educating people about it, especially Black people.
Yeah. For anybody who hasn't heard me say it just yet, if I said it in the intro or not, Stephanie is an improviser, a fantastic improviser, involved with at least a couple groups, I think, in teaching improv and spreading it around the community. I'm also an improviser, which has been brought up a couple times on episodes before. Is there what is it specifically about improv? I think I have an answer to this, so I might go first. But for me, I think we're both storytellers. We both love stories and we love the art of storytelling. And for me personally, when it comes to improv, the ability to do that in a very short amount of time and off the top of your head is really impressive to me when I see other people do it, which is probably one of the main reasons why I appreciate improv on a level I also appreciate movies and books and short stories and poetry and all that kind of stuff. What about you?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the skills you learn and hone in improv are so applicable to absolutely everything else. I seriously started getting into improv when I was in law school and definitely saw how those skills made me a better student in trial practice class and more confident just in negotiation, in discussing case law with my classmates. I think that learning to think on your feet quickly and have confidence in public speaking, those are skills that are going to be helpful for anybody doing anything. Besides the fact that it's just a ton of fun, it really is also very applicable to anything that you might be doing.
And depending on whoever's listening to this, depending on how familiar they are with improv, I think when most people talk about it, they're talking about improv comedy, things we've seen Whose Line Is It Anyway, which is a show that I grew up watching. You say you started in law school. What was your introduction to it? Was it just kind of a technique to help you get better at doing this job,
I mean, I've always been a pretty confident public speaker and the first person to volunteer to do the presentation, et cetera. So it wasn't that I was like, oh God, I need to learn to talk in front of people. I actually stumbled into improv very serendipitously. I was bidding on different potential prizes for the social justice auction at Georgetown. It's where I went to law school. So they had a yearly fundraiser where they would get companies to make donations, and then they had a silent auction. So I was just like, I'm going to bid the minimum bid on everything and get whatever I get. So one of the things I bid on was a certificate for Improv 101 at the Washington Improv Theater. I think the minimum bid was like $15 and it was worth $200 something. So I was like, whatever. And nobody else bid, and I won and was like, okay, I have this thing. I guess I will go. And I loved it. I fell in love. So got the first class for $15, and after that was just like, okay, take all my money. But it was a lot of fun, and it was really nice to have a safe space to be ridiculous and silly after reading case law all day and being preoccupied about whether or not this person we were working with through the Innocence Project was going to be killed on death row before we could get someone to intervene, and like all these heavy thoughts. And then I would go to improv class and it'd be like, we're all kittens. And it's a bunch of adults crawling around the room meowing. Like my spirit just needed that to balance the other things I was dealing with.
Before then, were you a fan of comedy? Were you like, how was it casual for you, or had you seen improv perform previously?
A little bit. I was a fan of Whose Line, Wayne Brady, greatest of all time. I stand for him. And I had done a little bit of improv in high school drama club, but nothing serious. And I didn't really know anything about long form.
I think that's pretty common. I was a big fan of Wayne Brady. He was always my favorite part of that show growing up. And I think Whose Line was one of the only outlets for seeing that style of comedy done, right? Because like I think a lot of comedians today, a lot of comedic actors and people that are well known in the world started out doing improv at like those major schools in New York and Chicago and LA, and it's not something that we see up until Whose Line, it wasn't something that people saw too often or were like really super familiar with. The only improv I was ever familiar with was the name of a comedy club, right? The comedy club franchise all throughout. Like for me, I had started doing improv because I had already been doing stand up. And when after taking a long break and I wanted to get back into it, I just kind of like showed up to open mic nights and saw an improv group doing their thing, and decided to join with them. And it's kind of like all uphill, all downhill. I'm not quite sure just yet. But yeah, I just love it because I always hated homework. I always hated having to plan ahead of time. Even like whenever I get a chance to act, I always hated like the rehearsals and the lead up to a show. And I just wanted to do the show itself, and improv is just really great because you can just get right into it. Are there any like aspects of it, like of improv that you really appreciate, like when it comes to the art itself?
I particularly love narrative improv. I really enjoy long form that tells a story and has fully fleshed out characters, a beginning, middle, and end. I like plot. I like for things to happen. I've seen some very critically acclaimed improv groups where people don't do a whole lot, and it's just, that's not my favorite style. I like watching things happen, so I really love narrative. Oh, and I love musical is my passion, is my number one. Like, tell me that there is musical improv happening and I'm like, okay, bye, I'm there, I'm into it.
No, yeah, it's great. And like obviously it helps having that love for storytelling, right? Because there's different kinds of improv, just like there's different types of stand-up and all different kinds of comedy, and you can do all those other styles and do it well. But when you're doing a narrative, when you're trying to tell a story, and you're aware of how a story works, which is just, it's a piece of knowledge to have whenever you're in any kind of art, whether it's like filmmaking or TV writing, screenplays, regular plays, all that kind of stuff. Like it's always good to know how a story works, and it makes you better at the process. And even with improv, right? Because when you're doing a scene with somebody and nobody knows where you're starting off with, it's good to know, okay, if we're telling a story, then this is where the turn happens, right? This is the part of a story where we both realize something should happen, something exciting should happen. And when people are doing that off the top of their heads, just because all parties involved are fully aware of how a story works. It's actually a really beautiful thing. It's super impressive to see when you're sitting in a theater and you're watching people do it off the top of their heads. And with musical improv, it's all the more amazing because they're throwing another skill on top of that. But it's even them also being aware of the tropes, the regular tropes that are involved in storytelling and in musicals that we see most of the time, where like whenever somebody says a really dramatic line, that's when the music will start. And I just throw it out there. But yeah, it's always really impressive. Do you have any like heroes in improv since you started doing it, or people that you really appreciate seeing, like other than Wayne Brady, who we both agree is like really amazing?
Yes. I'm a big fan of Aisha Tyler, who is, not as well known for improvising since she's done a lot of like hosting. I think she hosted The Soup for a long time.
Yeah, she took over as host for Who's Line for a while there,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. So I actually didn't know she was an improviser until I saw her in Who's Line. I was like, oh, she does that too. So I'm a big fan of hers. Namdi Nwige is a friend and mentor, inspiration. Definitely someone I really, really admire in the improv community. Jay Suko, I love playing with and really look up to. I'm like, gosh, there are so many people. Bala out of Improv Comedy Bangalore, Laxmi, out of that same community as well. Like Michelle Gilliam, Improv MKE, Ty Coleman, Blue, Colette. There's like I could list improvisers that I admire for in the entire hour. So I will stop there. But if you go to my Facebook page, I'm constantly like praising the people that I look up to.
That's what we're here for. We're here to geek out.
Yeah.
And like you just named like a bunch of Black improvisers. I'm sad to say that like I probably couldn't name half a list that long when it came to like really well known Black improvisers in the country. Like I think I can only really name like Wayne Brady and then maybe like Keegan Michael Key, and I got kind of ashamed of myself about that. Because I think that's one problem with the improv community, or like in a nutshell, just like it's not a very diverse thing. I think that's one of the reasons why improv doesn't appeal to as large an audience as one might see, because it's not really something that's very accessible when it comes to actually performing it for a lot of groups of people. Like I know the only reason I was able to take any classes at all is because the school I went to did like an internship, so I didn't actually have to pay to afford the classes. But yeah, it's tricky when you have to pay $350 for a 9-week course, and it makes it really hard for people for just everybody to get involved. Sad to say. But that's something that you've actually been working on fixing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I run the Black Improv Alliance, and we have kickstarted a couple of different programs this year. The one that I'm most proud of, that is also the most work, is the 100 Black Improvisers Partnership, which at this point is going to be a whole lot more than 100, which is lovely. And we're very excited about that. So basically the objective is to partner with theaters to offer scholarships to Black people who are interested in getting into improv, to get at least 100 more Black people into this form by July 2021. So we started out having pledged 50 on our side and hoping that we'd get maybe 10 theaters to pledge 5 scholarships and we get to 100. At this point, the list is closer to 50 theaters from all around the world. So we are really reassessing our outreach efforts. Like, okay, so these are a lot more scholarships than we anticipated, which is wonderful, fantastic, amazing. So we're really expanding our efforts to find people to take these classes and to get them to understand, here's what improv is and here's why it will be valuable to you and what you will take away from it. So we are really excited to have this opportunity to expose so many more people to improv than we ever imagined we'd be able to. And it's been very exciting too to see just the reactions of the theater owners, so enthusiastic about really diversifying their theaters and really hungry to bring more Black people into their spaces. So that's been really exciting too.
Yeah, it feels like one of those things that it's mind-boggling why it hasn't been done before, or like why it's not like an obvious choice to reach out to as many people as possible. I firmly believe improv is something that everybody should do. Like, everyone should take a class, right? If you have the opportunity, if you're able to do it, everyone should take a class. People who can offer classes should do what they can to make it as accessible as possible for other people to bring them in, because I truly believe that improv makes you you're not a better person because you do improv, but doing improv gives you the opportunity to be a better person. Just like the whole tenets of improv acting are, you have to be open to different ideas. You have to be listening to the people that you're working with. It's very, very difficult to to do improv, and also, like, we all know improv assholes. We all know people who do improv and are still assholes about it, but it takes like an active effort to do improv with somebody, to work as a team, to work together, to tell these stories, and then also be a dick. I think. Is that what you've seen from, like, your point of view so far?
Yeah, I have definitely come across some improv assholes at different levels of how far they've gone. And I feel that for the most part, I have addressed the things that needed to be addressed and move forward. But definitely, despite the fact that this is largely a very positive and supportive community, you get people who sneak in and do not have good intentions or much self-control. And that actually is something I've spent a lot of time thinking about and discussing, ways to empower people to respond to things that should not happen anywhere, not just in improv. But because the root of improv is yes and you're encouraged to agree when someone says or does something awful, sometimes inexperienced players feel like, oh, okay, well, that was super sexist, racist, transphobic, terrible, but I have to yes and it, so I guess I can't call them out. And that is not the case. Yes and means acknowledging this is the reality and this thing happened, but you absolutely can be like, okay, stop. That was horrific and we're going to address it. And I would love to see more people feeling empowered to do that.
Yeah. Like, you never want to, like, I think the average person is pretty aware of that rule where yes and is pretty common. It's one of the first things people hear when they hear people talking about improv. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, just because yes and is meant for, don't be negative, don't be open to new ideas and be willing to build off of the ideas that are introduced to you. But if once it gets to a point where people are feeling uncomfortable, if something feels wrong to you, I mean, even if you're thinking as a character, if your character feels like this is wrong, your character is free to acknowledge that the point was made, but then deny it because it was not right. It's something that you could take in another way where improv just helps you in your daily life. Is something that you can take into your real life. You can actively work against people bringing that kind of negativity into your life, and still build off of it, still work on a way to make things better and to maybe educate someone along the line. It's just something that I really love about theater and improv and just like all these kind of artsy endeavors that people can take onto, because we're living in a time right now where people have less access to that stuff more than ever. The Black Improv Alliance, and a bunch of other theaters are doing shows online all the time now to make sure that as many people can see these shows, and I highly recommend that people check them out. Usually when people are doing live shows online, they also record them so you can find them on YouTube later on, and they're just really great, because these are people who are bringing that effort that usually you can only save for about maybe like a few dozen people sitting in a small theater. And it's an experience that people have, and they kind of like walk away from it and never think about it ever again. Especially, I don't know exactly where I'm going with this just yet, but when it comes to the experience itself, I think everyone who watches improv or performs improv can probably take a piece of it and kind of like hold on to it and really think about what it took to bring it to that level, right? Every time I see a show now with the training that I've had, it's like, oh, I see what that person's doing. I see they're doing a really cool thing. And if we're on the same page, they're going to bring it back around to this point in a couple minutes, and it's going to blow everybody's minds, which is a really cool experience, whether you're sitting in the audience or whether you're sitting on stage for it. And the process, knowing the process of how you get to that point is really a lot of fun. Which is part of the reason what this show is for, right? It's for us geeking out about those moments and showing other people who may not be more familiar with it to really think about it for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Is there any aspect of improv that what's like a really thing that blows your mind every time you see an improv show or every time you perform improv, something that something about improv that really turned it into something that you really loved, other than just like how fun it is to do? Because it is a lot of fun, people. It's a lot of fun that everybody should do.
I really love to see people with amazing memories who can hold on to something that they did 40 minutes ago and then bring it back seamlessly. And I'm like, oh, I forgot that even happened. But now I remember it now that you're doing it again. I really admire people who are good at accents and in an authentic and not offensive way, because some people use accents in ways that they should not try to. But I have also seen people do really high quality accent work that deepens their characters and makes me honestly feel like I'm watching one person play several different people authentically. TJ and Dave out of Chicago, they're super well known, renowned. Obviously, they're superstars. But the first time I saw them in person, I was just mind blown. Like, people can do this? Who are these superheroes? So that really inspired me. And I also enjoy seeing people who use their space and their bodies and have really great physicality. That is not a strength of mine. I am the queen of the dreaded 11. I will stand still next to someone and have a conversation, and will have to actively remind myself, oh, move your body, use your space. So I have improved a lot in that arena, but it doesn't come naturally to me the way that some people just get out there and own the space in a very fluid way. So those are things I always look for and am inspired by.
Yeah, it's always been really cool to me how people can use all those different techniques and like everyone has a specialty, right? Like TJ and Dave can do really good voice work, and then there are people who are just like really physical actors and can get a lot across with not a lot of words, but still like get you can still tell what their character is feeling just by how they stand, how they look. One of my favorite things to do whenever I'm performing is just kind of like faces. I just want to react to my face without ever actually saying anything. Like there's always a lot of nonsense that happens on stage, and a lot of people say some really weird things, and I think you can get a lot across when you're just like silent for a few seconds and just be like, what?
Yeah.
Which is a lot of fun.
I was just going to say on physicality as well. I love watching David Hepburn play. David. He is such a physical player. I have seen him literally hang from, I don't know if I'd call it the rafters, but like a piece of wood that was nailed into the ceiling at a stage. Like, he's gotten into the audience and crawled around, messing with people's shoelaces, stuff that would never have crossed my mind to do, that everybody loved, things that were so hilarious. So I really love playing with him and watching him play, because I know he's going to do something with his body and with the space that's going to be amazing, and that would never occur to me as an option.
Which is it's a thing that you can't really do in most other mediums, right? Because like improv thrives off of breaking the rules. Like, once you've established like what are these things that people do, and then the best thing you can do is, all right, now how do I break that rule? How do I stop that and still tell a story in a meaningful way? And the idea of performing on stage and then going into the audience and messing around with the audience isn't really something you can get away with when you're performing a script that has been rehearsed, unless that's an actual part of it. But you'll never see, you'll very, very rarely see breaking the fourth wall and that happen in movies or video games or whatever other kind of like medium that you're absorbing a story from. And that's another great thing about improv, right? Is the audience interaction, the fact that just by sitting in the crowd, you are having an effect on what you see on stage. It's just a very, very strong community-driven form of art.
Yes, I've actually started to recently get more into interactive theater, which is it's called interactive theater, but it's largely improv based because in order for it to be interactive, the performer has got to be prepared to think on their feet and respond to what's happening. I just finished an interactive show with Phoenix Tears, which was called Recovery, and I played a memory that the audience could interact with. So the memory would play through the first time, and then the audience could stop us and ask questions of the memory because they were trying to gain information that they needed to share with the person to whom the memory belonged. So that was a lot of fun. I got to design my character and interact directly with the audience in some really cool ways. So that's something I'm hoping to do more of, interactive theater. I actually signed up for 2 shows this month. One is called Jury Duty. It's an English online interactive show where I believe I'll be a member of a jury trying to solve a murder case and looking at facts. So kind of like murder mystery dinner theater. I think if you've ever done something like that, I believe it'll be similar to that. And then another one that I'm like, oh boy, it is a phone call. The whole show is a phone call. It's called Claws. From my understanding, the premise is it's like a 16-year-old boy that believes he has a monster in his closet, but maybe he is the monster. And I don't know what's going to happen. I haven't had it yet. I have a friend who did it. My friend Mallory, who directed the interactive show Recovery, actually, that loved it and raved over it. So I'm excited, but also a little creeped out. Like the idea that a whole show could be a phone call from a stranger is just mind-blowing. So I don't know anything about it yet, but I'm excited to hear, I guess, how that goes.
That's probably that's a tenet of improv, right? It's like, I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to sound like, but we'll see how it goes when it starts off. That's super interesting though. Like the idea of actively, because usually for improv shows, for anyone who might not have been, is, you know, the audience might give up a word, or when prompted, they'll throw out like an answer to a question that somebody might ask them, and they will, and then the actors will use that prompt to plant a seed and build a scene from that. The idea of the audience being able to, it's a lot of trust to do a show like that. Like I'm thinking about The Stranger's Call, or like you acting out a dream. It's putting a lot of trust in an audience to ask questions, and it's instant feedback, which I really appreciate. Right? Like it's engaging for one. Yeah, it's super engaging. So like the audience is encapsulated by what's happening on stage. But the idea of them being able to actively, you can testify this for sure, but like I'm assuming that because you're acting out the dream, whatever continues forth is totally based on whatever questions that people are asking you, right?
Yes, exactly. We're directly responding to what they've asked. And then if there's a lull in the conversation, we pick back up with the scripted portion of where we were going, but we stop and directly address whatever the audience wants to talk about. And it may just turn into a conversation for the entire time.
Yeah. So even if you have an idea of where you want it to go, one good question from an audience member might like change that whole up for the rest of the night.
Yes, and it's different with every crowd. Some of them were very interactive with the questions. Some were a little bit more shy. We had one particular group that was really focused on the fact that the person whose memories we were revealing was a singer. So instead of asking about the things that were really relevant to the plot, they were like, oh, who are her favorite singers? What does she like to sing? What kind of singer is she? And then when they ended up interacting with that character, they had her sing, and she is really a singer and has an amazing voice, but it was totally irrelevant to the plot and the mystery they were trying to solve. So it was just kind of a fun non sequitur that became a thing.
It's like, whatever, we're on this now. This is what's happening.
Right.
And this was online, of course. I want to ask, like, I haven't really been feeling performing online. I've had the opportunity and not really been up for it. I really love being on a stage, and I really love the instant feedback you get. Just like, even if the audience doesn't say anything, I really love knowing how you're doing immediately, right, when the audience is there. Has it been for you doing these shows online compared to like doing them on stage?
I'm so glad you asked. I love it. People tend to love or hate online improv. In my experience discussing it, I love it. I hope it never goes away. I hope that it will continue when the world reopens. It's been particularly special for me because it has allowed me to connect with Black improvisers in a way that I have never been able to before recent times. So it's actually been a true silver lining to a lot of crappiness going on in the world right now, that I've been able to meet virtually and connect with Black improvisers from literally all over the world, improvisers of color from all over the world, and just make new improv friends from everywhere. I'm getting ready to teach a workshop for Improv Comedy Liverpool later this month. I have made some very, very close friends from Improv Comedy Bangalore in India. One of my close musical improv friends lives in Canada. I have been playing a lot with folks out of Huge Theater in Minnesota and people out of Baltimore and just all over. So I've really loved being able to get together and do shows without having to be in the same physical space.
Yeah, it's hard, and you can't 11 when everyone's on a screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we explained it, but 11ing, for anyone that's not familiar, is just when two people are standing next to each other, not moving too much, just because they look like a one and a one. No, but yeah, that's really cool. Like it's I've been able to do improv with people online and practice with different groups, but yeah, like if unless I'm needed emergency wise, unless I'm needed for a show, I've been able to yeah, the online thing just wasn't for me. So like, more power to anybody who can actually like do it and sets up. Like people are setting up sets behind themselves, and it's so amazing that this art form, this performance art, has been able to adapt so well to the world that's been happening.
Don't get me wrong. I've seen some crappy online improv for sure. I do not always enjoy people on screens pretending that they're in the same place. Like, bruh, y'all have completely different backgrounds. You are in different buildings. It's very obvious. Like, you are not together right now. But I've done some improv which doesn't address the conventions of Zoom. With International Players Club is the newest Black Improv Alliance team that is Black improvisers from all over the place, and there's just so much fun and joy playing with that team that it really hasn't mattered that we're not in the same space. Same thing with Wakanda versus Everybody. We've been doing shows online, and one of the really beautiful things about being online has been that recently we have been able to play with actual pianists. We've had musical directors. We did a show with Unscrewed Theater where they had their MD play with us, and she was absolutely amazing. We did a show with the Inner City long form and musical improv jam where Faustino, the guy who runs that, played with us, and then he played with us again for a performance in the Black Impact 2 fundraiser. So to have an actual pianist playing music for us has been phenomenal. We've always done our performances a cappella because of necessity, because we just didn't have a pianist, but we wanted to do musicals, so we would just do what we could with our voices and clapping and stomping and whatever, we could do on our own. But having someone on keys elevates musical performance in a way that I cannot express in words. It just truly makes it magical. So that's been a really wonderful thing.
Yeah, I'm incredibly impressed. Like, from the stuff that I have seen of you guys, just being able to get through all that with the wall that tech puts up, just like getting through just natural delays in conversation and being able to like minimize that as much as possible. Like, it's like chef's kiss almost. The level, because like, yeah, those bad shows do exist, and unfortunately, like, one of the things about improv is that improv is easy to do because it hasn't been a lot necessary to actually do it. Like, once you get through classes and all that, then you just need people on stage, and everything else is done with our imagination. But because we live in the world that we live in now, and everything is done through the screen, bringing in tech and backgrounds and music and all this kind of stuff, really, it's whatever the phrase is that my brain is farting on me right now for.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
we're able to use our imaginations to bring these things to life, but then the tech is able to enhance those things all the more. But with that tech there, it also makes it more difficult for people to do. So anybody who can do it, anybody who can do it well, is just incredible in my like the stuff that you're doing, the stuff that I've seen other folks doing is amazing and blows my mind every time I see it.
Thank you.
When it comes to performing, do you have any like really cool memories or any like stories that stick out? Like one of the things about improv for me is like whenever you do something really cool, whenever you see someone else do something really cool on stage, it tends to stick with you. Is there anything like that that has stuck with you for a long time? Any cool like weird stories or moments that happened that you saw that like, oh wow, I just saw something that will never happen again.
Sure. Just recently, actually, a performance that Wakanda versus everybody did this was for the Black Impact 2 fundraiser. The one that I mentioned that Faustino played for us was actually one of my favorite sets that we've done. So I have been playing with Alex Taylor and David Hepburn for about 2 years now. We just recently were joined by Stefan Duncan. She is so incredibly talented and just such a great fit. I was really thrilled with the way that, because we had played together a little bit before, but I just felt like the way that we really gelled and connected, and I could see her even through a screen reading my mind for the moves that I wanted to happen. We had one group scene, all four of us together, where David and I were having a conversation and Stefan interrupted, and I was like telling her to leave, but I didn't really want her to leave. It was kind of the character dynamic, and she totally got it and was doing this really funny thing with camera work. And then Alex came in and he and David had a different dynamic. And then we moved into a song, which we usually transition into fully so that we're no longer those characters when we do a song. But this time we stayed in character for the song, which was totally appropriate and kind of what I wanted to happen. We didn't talk about it, but it happened and we all were just on the same page, like, okay, this is what we're doing. And it was just a really beautiful moment of kismet and team chemistry that clicked to make this scene, which no one could have predicted, exactly what I would have wanted it to be if I'd had an opportunity to write it. So that felt really good.
Yeah, like those moments, like that's the thing that I don't think people really appreciate enough when they see a show on stage, is that what you see when you go see an improv show is something that will never happen again for the rest of time. Most likely, like every story you ever see somebody improvise on stage is a moment that is only for that one audience and something that they will never see ever, right? Because I don't know about you, but whenever I'm doing a show and I see something really cool, it's like, whether I'm in it or not, it's like, wow, that was amazing. I wish I could have done it. I will never be able to do it again. I will actively stay away from that for the rest of my life whenever I perform, because that moment has it now. They've earned it, or whether it's in the scene, like it's like, wow, I did something really cool, and I'll never be able to do it again.
Oh, 100%. Actually, the show that I did last night is called Big Day All Alone. It's a fully improvised online musical, which fully addresses the conventions of Zoom. The premise is that someone is experiencing a big event. So far, we've done a home birth in our first show last week, and last night we had a wedding where we live in the world that we live in now. And so all of the interactions take place over Zoom. And when the characters get to a moment where the feelings are just too big to express through conversation, they start to sing. And we have Bryson, our brilliant pianist, on keys, creating incredible songs. And it is just, every night I'm mind blown, and I log off with the song still playing in my head and running back like, oh, and then that came together and these people knew each other and I didn't even know that they knew each other. And then at the end we had a callback with this thing, and I'm just amazed. I'll rewatch feeling like this is like a movie. How did this happen without planning at first? But when you get a group of experienced improvisers together, you just can see each other's moves in such a way that it will come out looking like it was planned, even though it happened absolutely in that moment. And I just love that feeling.
Yeah, and as much as you want to do it again, it can never happen again.
Yes. Like, that Yeah, there are so many moments that I want to relive. I'm like, let's do that scene over. No, it's gone. It's gone now.
Yeah, it was like if it wasn't for the fact that it requires homework, I would make so many sketches out of improv things that happen. But I hate homework and I hate having to write ahead of time and practice and rehearse. Like, no, you'll never get that moment back again. It was a magic. It was a magical thing that happened when several people went on stage together at the same time and they created something. They created a story that was like Oscar worthy of awards. Are there improv awards? I don't know if there are improv awards or like national thing, but that's a thing that needs to happen.
It is actually on my long-term to-do list. I do plan at some point in the future to establish the Brady's. They don't exist yet, but as far as I'm concerned, we'll have the BGOT, the Brady. What is it? Brady, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony. Yeah. So the Brady's. I intend to make the premier improv awards. Probably 10 years down the road.
Yeah, I'm gonna get this episode out to Wayne Brady. We're gonna work something out.
Listen, Wayne Brady, if you hear this, holla at me, call me. Not in like a weird romantic way, but just I think that we could be really good friends and make beautiful productions together. So let's talk. We have mutual friends. Like we would get along. It's fine.
Where do you see? Well, it's like you see improv going to the point where it gets to award shows and all this kind of stuff. What do you think of the community now as it is? Like you're making these working on making these major changes to the industry. I don't know if you can call it that, but like just because of the times we live in, we see a lot of improv theaters are closing. A lot of major theaters like IO Theater closed, and we're also seeing like a bunch of like major problems coming up to surface involved with like theaters in LA and New York and Chicago. Like what's your stance on where that is right now?
I think that change is good. I think that there are a lot of small, lesser known theaters that are working really hard and doing amazing work. I think that this online era is a great time to highlight that because you can take a class with a theater in Charlotte while living in Miami. And I love being able to study with and learn from people all over the world and realizing, oh man, like this, I am really getting a ton from this. And I never would have had this kind of access if I would have had to get on a plane and physically go to that space. So especially seeing the way that those opportunities are opening up, I do not mourn the losses that have occurred. I think there are some changes that needed to happen. And I think that what's built in the aftermath is going to be better.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's like the people who are failing now are people who weren't as hungry. I see the same thing you see, where like a lot of these smaller theaters and smaller groups are the ones that have really actively adapted to the situation. And they've also always been the ones who have been really open to bringing on as many people as possible. Whereas these other places like the IO Theater, who, yes, a lot of terrific comedians have come through in and out of their doors, but then they also like pushed away or shut down a bunch of other really great talent that could have gone to really great places. And because they weren't open, because they stuck to whatever tradition that was ingrained in them for all these years, like they just kind of like fall apart. And in these times where people need to really come together, it goes to show like where the failures have been, and like where these systemic issues really we're not having it anymore. Things have to change and things have to die.
I have to shout out the Hideout Theater in Austin, Texas, which has really become a giant part of my community. So funny because I've never been to Texas, but they are killing it online. They're running the musical show that I'm in. I'm in another show with them called Escape the Zoom, which is an improvised escape room. I've done their Sunday morning kids shows. They're teaching all kinds of narrative workshops. They have like a daily show. Hideout is producing so much online content. And I think they're starting to do like safe, socially distanced, backyard, small group improv classes too. So they in particular are a theater that I think has really adjusted to this changed environment in a way that has produced a lot of really, really great content.
Yeah. Shout out to all the theaters that are doing this thing. Like I do a lot of work with Villain Theater, and Villain Theater has been really doing a lot of really great queer-based comedy and really been open to bringing on other people from all over the world. They're doing 3 shows a week, different types of shows. Like it's really, really cool the kind of stuff that like all these really creative people are bringing to the table.
I have not had good experiences with Villain Theater personally, so I'll table that. But I have had some friends have some horrific things happen there. So
well, a lot of stuff has come to the light very recently, but but I think Villain has talked about it, and everyone's trying to do better. We all got to grow. We all have to I'm not gonna I'm not gonna shove any of that into a closet. Like those are all things that people need to talk about and things that need to come out in the open if anyone's gonna actually grow from them and learn.
Yeah.
Which is the thing that improv is for. Improv is for like bringing people together and making it so that when it's it's safe. It's good to get out of your comfort zones in a way, in a safe space. Right, because it's got to be done in a way where these ideas that people don't usually have day to day. Well, these are the ideas that we all have, but don't really talk about out in the open. Right, I think that's what improv is really good for, is taking moments that we all relate to, and sometimes laughing at them, but also sometimes just talking about them, bringing them out. Some of the best improv I've ever seen has just been just strictly dramatic. It's just been people on stage together for 45 minutes, and it's 2 people playing every member of a family, where and all these problems come to light, and then you're watching the show and it's just kind of like, oh wow, I just had that conversation with my father just the other day, and those are the moments that are really, really impactful. And I think whenever someone's watching a show, like, it doesn't just have to be straight funny. We tell people all the time, you've told people all the time, where don't try to be funny.
Yeah.
The humor is there when you reach out and you try to like do something relatable for the person, right? Because we all laugh at those moments that we all share. Drama and comedy touch those same buttons in our personalities, where it's just getting at the moment where someone might feel uncomfortable, and it's either going to make you cry or it's going to make you laugh, but in a positive way, cry in a positive way, where it's like it's cathartic. That's
love
what we're
that.
shooting for.
Yeah, I love the authenticity of improv, the vulnerability of it. I am so much more comfortable being vulnerable on stage than I am in like real life removed. But absolutely, my authentic relationships are reflected in performance, and that's part of what I love about the chemistry of Wakanda versus Everybody, is that we are friends. We genuinely like each other and enjoy one another. Same thing with International Players Club. Like, we just genuinely are all so happy to be there with each other that I think it's infectious. I feel like you can feel that coming through the screen when you watch, like, oh, these, like, I'm here observing, but this is just a bunch of friends having a really good time being together. And that's how I feel. I'm like, if people click and watch, great, but I'm about to kick it with my people, and I am so excited to get to do that.
Right? Like, yeah, I think that's one of the great things about it too. Like, even if we're performing for half a dozen people or 600 people, right, I'm still having a good time doing this, and I still like the place that I'm at, where I'm happy. I'm hanging out with my friends. We're creating something wonderful together, and there's really nothing better. I don't really care who's watching anymore. I did this podcast because I want to have cool conversations with really cool people who can geek out about a thing that you can't really talk about all too often. Like, you and me do improv all the time, but how much do we actually get to like talk about it?
I think that is one of the lessons that I have really had emphasized in my artistic journey as of late, that the very best thing you can do is create for the joy and the pleasure of creating. And when you do that authentically, your tribe will find you. Kind of that, if you build it, they will come. People will be attracted to what you're doing. But that when you create something out of a space of wanting to be liked, wanting to get the views, the clicks, wanting to fill the seats, and I've been guilty of that, that the art is just not not as good. It doesn't feel the same and it doesn't attract people the same. So I have found so much more joy in focusing on what is going to make me happy today. What do I want to do? And then, oh, wow, if 1,000 people watch it, hey, that's amazing. If 10 people watch it, hey, that's amazing too, because I did it because I had a good time. So I can take that with me no matter how other people respond to it.
Yeah. For the 6 people who are listening to this, I appreciate every single one of you.
Right. And I'm glad I came. I'm having a great conversation. I'm getting a lot out of talking to you. So I'm like, whether or not people click, I feel like this fed me. So I value that.
Yeah. Let's get contentious. Well, you did say that you had a preference for like long form improv, right? So does that always win out? I think they complement each other really well. But like short form, which for anyone who might not know is, you know, the games that you see on Who's Line, doing really short 2-3 minute scenes, usually with some kind of a mechanic involved. Versus long form, which is, you know, these narratives that can go anywhere from 15 to an hour, 15 to 60 minutes of people just telling one single story that may change throughout and might have its own mechanic involved. But why the preference for long form when it comes to those two?
I love stories and characters and for things to happen. That's going to happen in long form far more often than short form. I also personally feel like for me to enjoy short form, it has to be excellent. Mediocre short form might as well just be terrible short form. I can watch a mediocre long form and still learn, okay, here are moves I would make differently. Here are things I really liked. You know, I feel like that story this person just told was very authentic and that was interesting to me. So I can still find things to love about a long form that might be objectively just okay. Also, short form, I feel like gets repetitive so much faster than long form does. Like I can only watch different groups of people play the same short form game so many times in a row before I want to sink through a trap door. But I can watch 100 different heralds and they're going to be drastically different every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, I was trying to come up with a good metaphor or comparison in my head, but it's just kind of like, but yeah, short form is very much a fast food meal. Right, it's getting something in really quick. It could be excellent. It could be mediocre. But at the end of the day, you're just kind of like throwing out and we're going for the next one because it doesn't really have as much of an impact. And I've seen such some amazing short form improv, and I love short form. And I really do think that being good at both styles, they complement each other. And like being good at short form, being able to being able to tell a narrative in a short amount of time and get across everything you need to get across in at most 5 minutes will make you better at doing long form and vice versa, right? Because understanding the important components that doing a good long form scene will make you better at short form because it's storytelling, right? If you can do long form, you are understanding what goes into a story, what are the tropes and what are the things we need to follow and what are the rules that we need to break. But yeah, I'm not undecided, but I think when it comes to I think I prefer long form for the same reasons you prefer it. But yeah, short form is just a lot of fun for me too, and I love the things that they bring out of each other.
Yeah. And I realize I'm sounding like a total improv snob right now. I love short form. I value it. I think it's important. I think everybody should learn it. I think it is the easiest way for new groups of people to bond and find improv chemistry. And again, I love excellent short form. I can watch Who's Line for days at a time because they are phenomenal. It's just, like anything else, improv can have varying levels of quality.
You could say it's McDonald's. It's short form. Like it's some short form is McDonald's and some short form is what is a high quality fast food. I'm not sure. Maybe Chicken Kitchen. I don't know.
I really enjoy Pollo Tropical. Like they have really surprisingly good drive-through ribs. Shockingly good. So
there you go. Long form. There are for short form. There's Pollo Tropical, and sometimes there's just McDonald's.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like short form is a drive-through burger, or, it can be very, very good, or it can be terrible. I feel like long form is pizza. Even when it's not that good, it's still pretty good.
No, yeah, I agree, because you'll see people going into a long form scene, and there's already a level of confidence that one needs to have to get into that. Especially for the ones that go for like 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, I feel like I can learn something and take something away from even a not so good long form. A not so good short form, I'm just like, okay, is this how much time till this is over?
It's okay. There's someone off to the side with a stopwatch.
Yeah, so that's the upside. It actually is not much time until it's over. But I have also seen some really great short form that I really loved. I did some short form with Unscrewed Theater in a show not long ago, and they're all pros and really know their stuff. So it was a blast, and really just great outcomes, I think. So it can be a lot of fun. It can be done well. I do encourage everybody to learn it, study it, know short form, and come up with your own stuff. I think part of my frustration with short form is that it feels much more formulaic than long form because there are more rules, and especially regionally, people tend to fall into doing the same game. So it can feel like you're watching the same show, even with a different group, whereas long form is usually not going to do that. So I love seeing short form that I haven't seen before. That's very exciting to me, even if it's not necessarily fantastic. If it's new, I'm still all in because I want to see where is this thing going. I want to be surprised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and short form. I mean, that's the reason why they did it for the shows, right? For the TV shows, just because it's more digestible for maybe the average person, and short form doesn't have the freedom to get as crazy. We were talking about like hitting those discomfort zones. It doesn't. There's not a lot of room to make people learn and grow and feel uncomfortable doing a short form. Whereas going to see a long form show feels like going to see, it's performance art, but like really abstract performance art ideas that can come through in a long form scene that you need that 20 minutes for, that you need that 30 minutes for. I think we've gotten our point across where it's like, yeah, these are the things that make them great and make people want to see them.
Yeah.
Stephanie, I think this has been terrific. I'm really excited about this episode. I'm really excited about what people think of it when it comes out. If people want to know more about you or follow you or see what you're up to, where can they find you?
So you can find me with the Black Improv Alliance. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/Black Improv Alliance. We're also on Instagram as at Black Improv Alliance, and our website, you'll never guess, is www.blackimprovalliance.com. So you can find out more about our performances, our programming. If you want to find me on Facebook directly, I am facebook.com/wordnerdsteph. And our Cash App and Venmo, also Black Improv Alliance, if you want to throw us a few dollars to support Black joy and performance. So that's where you can find me.
Yes, support Black theater, support theater in general, support as many people who need it as possible. Stephanie, thank you so much. This has been great, and we're out.
Thank you.
And that's the episode, folks. That was a great one. I am still getting over it as we speak right now. Once again, big thank you for Stephanie for coming onto the show. I can't wait to have her back on one day, and hopefully you guys want to too. Just a thing to keep in mind: anybody can be on this show. Not too long after this episode comes out, an official form on the website on inmydefensepodcast.com will be released for people to fill out. You just have to fill out your name, what you want to talk about, why you want to talk about it, and if you can get across exactly why you're so passionate and why you should have an hour to talk about something that you're passionate about, I will give it to you guys. I want you guys to come on the show. If you want to test out a new podcast idea, if you want to play a game, whatever you want to do, I am here to support you, and I want to see you do it. For anyone who is interested in following Stephanie or following the Black Improv Alliance, all those links that she mentioned are in the show notes right now. Just scroll down a little bit and you can find them. Remember to follow Black Improv Alliance on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Remember to follow In My Defense Podcast. You can follow me at Anti-Cursivera on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find information about the show at InMyDefensePodcast.com. You can send emails. I want feedback. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Let me know what you thought about me. Let me know what you think about the show in general at InMyDefensePodcast@gmail.com. Once again, the music you heard on this episode was by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.io. We're coming up on the 10th episode. That means it's going to be my choice. If you want to see what that choice is, come on back next week and check us out.